Wuthering Waves is a game that lets you, the player, define the parameters of your gameplay. If you want to rush the boss down, then you can. If you want to take it slow and be defensive, then that option is available for you as well. And if you want to throw yourself endlessly at the same boss over and over until you finally surpass the insurmountable challenge, then by all means, keep throwing yourself off that cliff called a challenge. There have been many tier lists and talks about the best characters in the game, and these tier lists are somewhat flawed. Many characters are believed to be quote-unquote trash per se, when they actually have a very pivotal role in certain portions of the content in Wuthering Waves. You have to remember, it's not always about rushing the bosses down in the tower, and even then, these characters can be a godsend in certain situations, but sometimes the act of merely surviving is actually what paves the way to clear these challenges. My name is Void Enigma, and I'll be talking about how lesser used characters in the game actually serve a purpose in Wuthering Waves, and you may want to consider using and raising them. In case you didn't catch the myriad of context clues from earlier, the characters that I'm referring to are the defensive ones, the likes of Taochi, Genshin, and Yanwu. Normally, the game is all about killing things as quickly as possible, and the best offense is the best defense. I mean, at the end of the day, if the opponent is dead, then who is there to kill you? Especially with the time limit imposed on the challenge, it's always best to stack all of your eggs into attack instead of actually spreading it out for more defense. However, Wuthering Waves has another concept that has to be explored, and that is the likes of holograms and the overdrive zone. Those are not straightforward time rush challenges, but a mechanical or skills check that requires you to beat them. Even then, you can simply rush down certain bosses like the Morning Ikes and make the entire boss fight essentially a DPS check, but with other bosses that is not the case, especially with the new hologram, the Infernal Rider. It's already bad enough that this fight has 2 stages, but there are so many attacks coming at you in every single direction, you can barely keep up with what's going on, and a little shielding goes a long way. Taochi and Genshin provide much needed shielding to actually keep you alive in these cases, and that is why they might be pivotal for you to raise to defeat these challenges if you're struggling. While you might actually struggle to solo sustain with them in these fights, that is not what they were made to do. Alongside a healer, they can be the key point to keeping your team alive. When I was fighting the Crownless for the first time at level 6, it felt impossible. Sure, I was learning how to counter the boss, but I couldn't get the correct movements and dodge schemes to beat him. However, upon using Genshin and using her to completely negate big hits with a resonant skill, or creating an opportunity to soak up 3 hits in a row with a combination of her Forte Gauge and the Bell Echo, the combination of those 2 aspects severely helped me clear this hologram. In addition, Genshin is far from only shielding. She has grouping, can do a decent amount of damage if you build her that way, and her Ultra buff is insane, with a 38% Resonance Liberation damage buff. And while not every main carry can use it, for those who can, that's just the icing on the cake. This may be well into the future, but keep an eye out for Yanwu because he actually helps with vibration damage, which will break the bosses. I'm sure that eventually in the future there will be a character that specializes in breaking the bosses very quickly, so we'll have to see how that actually performs in the future. Now, another very underutilized character is Taochi, and people seriously underestimate her shielding prowess. In addition, she also has an amazing outro with a resonant skill damage amp of 38%. She may not heal you, and her Forte may take forever to charge, but if you use Discord on her and manage your rotations, then you can find that she can do a massive amounts of healing, or provide massive amounts of healing, and she can take a ton of damage, or deal a ton of damage. I don't know why I mixed it up there. Anyway, the issue is, though, getting her built. Just like how you can help build this channel by leaving a like on this video and subscribing to the channel. Before you start building these defensive girls, you may as well hit that like button, right? Now you may be thinking, if these characters are so good, why aren't they being used in every team? Well, it's because of a few things. Firstly, for us mortals who play the actual game, there are those who rise above the morality of us mere humans and can solo all of the content in the game with a dungeon without getting hit. Most fun and full clears are showcased without these defensive units because they do slow down your clear. I'll be honest, using a defensive character to clear the content may be easier in the long run, but they aren't usually pretty. Good thing not all of us are trying to showcase our perfect runs. There are a lot of things that matter for building characters, and while it's still a net positive to build them because of their great ultra buffs, basically using them in anything like the tower might not be the best option because you need to clear that tower in 2 minutes. And unlike the healers, they need a lot of investment to actually feel good. Without any investment, their shields are paper thin, and you'll really be needing to put a lot of effort into using them, especially if they aren't suitably leveled and ready to actually take on the powerful bosses. You can think of their shields as overhealing, because it's literally extra health on top of your normal health that expires. Tauchi does have buffs that help with defensive mitigation, but it's normally a better idea to just build your main carries instead of focusing on your actual defensive units, especially when you're not clearing in time. Nonetheless, as you have more and more bosses coming out that can one-shot you or have an onslaught of damage that you might not be able to overcome, these defensive characters will be your go-to until you can figure out those attack patterns. They will keep you alive, deal damage, and while they won't get you the fastest clear, you'll at least be able to get that clear, period. An example that I previously made is the Inferno Rider. Man, this fight is tough, and if you have no damage mitigation, you are going to struggle to keep your entire team alive. You have random explosions going off everywhere, random motorcycles falling out of the sky, and then you have a hyper-aggressive boss that's just in your face at all times. Having a shield is that safety net that can help you clear these things, or you will, have to face that cliff of destiny again. The choice is yours, but just know that having a shield will make your life easy. Of course, at the end of the day, the best way to learn these bosses are to actually face their boss patterns and dodge accordingly, but not all of us have a few hours to dedicate to each new boss that actually comes out in the game to defeat them. So, while Tauchi and Genshin might be an excursion that you may not want to take, it might be a necessary one. So keep that in mind if you're struggling to clear a few new holograms of bosses. They, alongside Yunwu, were made to help with those very aggressive bosses. Yunwu found a great place alongside Jinshi, but Tauchi and Genshin are more mechanically demanding and require some more field time. You have ways to mitigate this by actually using stuff like the Discord on Tauchi, or just actually playing Genshin in a more quick swap oriented way, but even then this is going to take a lot of effort to actually do perfectly. In the Tower of Adversity, this is a negative effect since it's all about clearing in 2 minutes. However, in the holograms and the overdrive zone, being able to continuously attack without the restraints is a strategy that one should consider, and shielding provides that specific opportunity. Keep in mind that you will still need to avoid many of these one-hit KO attacks, especially with the holograms, but they will surely keep your team alive a hell of a lot longer than your standard DPS team. Go ahead and comment down below if you have these characters raised or how they helped you overcome challenges in Wuthering waves. I know for a fact that Tauchi and Genshin are my go-to when I'm actually struggling against those hard hologram bosses. Like this video and also subscribe so that more content can come your way from this channel. This has been Void Enigma, and until next time, Enigma out.